Hello, friends. So happy to have you here with me today at Radical Joy. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time with me, well, I'm glad you're here. Each week, I'm here with you talking to myself about things that weigh on my mind and heart, hoping if you're dealing with something similar, we can adjust our perspectives as you listen. Hey, if you're struggling with something that needs immediate attention, please know that help is available. Just dial 988 nationwide in the U.S. to reach the Mental Health and Suicide Crisis Hotline. All of us here at CLW Studios believe that mental health is a vital part of our well being. The more people I meet and the more places I go, the more I realize how important it is to make people aware of the fact that there is no shame in enjoying the parts of our lives that are incredible. It's time for some radical joy. And this week, the three fingers pointing back at me are for the color indigo, represented in this episode by the static and the kinetic. Part 6 of a 7-part series for Pride Month. As Carrie and I were talking about these kinds of things, we had a fantastic meeting a while back to discuss Pride Month. Ever since we started Radical Joy, we wanted to do something special for Pride Month. And for whatever reason, June continued to sneak up on us, and now we got on top of it. And I'm really proud to say that. We had this fantastic meeting where we went through all 7 colors of the rainbow. And I'll be honest, the one that gave me the most moment for pause is going to be the one we're talking about today, indigo. Reason being, I love the word. I think it's a gorgeous word. I knew a friend who had a daughter by the name of Indigo, and I thought it was such a great name, a cool word, but I'll be very honest. The concept of the color and the color itself escaped me. I look at it and it's like, okay, that kind of reminds me of that cornflower blue crayon that you used to have in your box that you never really did anything with. Or maybe you did. I was not a fan of cornflower. I never thought it colored as deeply or as fully as the crayon suggested. I thought it fraudulent. Therefore, it stayed in the box. It was the first to be sacrificed if we needed something for an arts and crafts project, etc. So when we started talking about indigo, I'll be honest, I held just a little bit of a reservation in my heart for it just because I don't know much about said color. And then it started to sort of manifest itself into, well, what can we do with that? Because that is a pretty strong feeling for such an innocuous topic. So what can we do with that? Well, the thing that I came to figure on it was maybe since it is sort of an in-between color as far as I'm concerned, that it's not necessarily an emotion as much as it is a state of being. And that's whenever the static and the kinetic came into play. And I was like, okay, great. So let's get on with the static and kinetic. We don't need all this exposition. Gotcha. Heard. Let's jump on it. Static versus kinetic. I think that a lot of people, myself included, suffer occasionally from a situation where we sort of get stuck. Whether it is a routine of wake, prepare, care, work, come home, cook, clean, perhaps spend a little quality time with your people, and then back to bed. And though if planned just right, that can be a wonderful thing. That can be a very fulfilling existence and a very grand life. You find the people you like, you make a family with them. Crazy. Your kids, you actually like them too. You all have this wonderful life together, and it falls into a routine. And though some days that can be absolutely wonderful, others you start to wonder what else there is. Absolutely. For those of us who don't necessarily have families, what if it's a very similar situation with work, or a similar situation with partner, or a similar situation with your art or your creative outlet? You find yourself in a place where you're just going through the motions, and though there is motion in the literal definition of the phrase, going through the motions, you find yourself in a static place, in a static state of being. May I be the first to offer that that is a really difficult place to find oneself in and be able to get out as easily as the realization came. I say this because I often have a little roundabout with the whole static situation. I let a few days get by without accomplishing the goals that I set out to accomplish. And all of a sudden, it goes from one day's to do list to the next, to the next. The next thing you know, I have a week of crumpled to do lists in the trash can with the same unfinished task on it. And by this point, it feels as though it is unsurmountable because even though the task has not really gotten any larger or more difficult, the fact that it has been on the list unfinished for a few days gives it more heft, if you will. So, the thing that I have come to realize is that I can't allow that heft to accumulate if I can help it. And those days may have passed, and it feels as though it continues to slide farther back on the stovetop or further down the priority list. I think it's important to know that we can literally pick up at any point and start doing the thing, whatever the thing is. It's not something we have to sweat. It's something that we can be mildly embarrassed about or ashamed of. And then what we do is we pick up the ball and we run. To give us a sport ball metaphor, you don't have to continue thinking that that ball is weighing heavier and heavier every day it doesn't get done on the to-do list. What you can do is realize that it's just another task on that list, and you're going to pick it up today, and you're going to make some sort of headway on it. Crazy thing I keep running into myself is the fact that once I actually start to make any progress whatsoever on said to-do list item, it gets done in record time. You want to talk about frustrated, irritated, and just absolutely altogether pissed off? That. 11 minutes later, the thing that has weighed on my back like a silverback gorilla is now no bigger than a pygmy marmoset. That's right, I just busted out some National Geographic trading cards on anybody and everybody listening to the sound of my voice right now. It is crazy to me to watch something go from static to kinetic so easily. All it takes is a nudge. And whenever I say that, what I'm thinking in my mind, the picture that I have is one fingertip that gets from a crook to a straight. Boop. And all of a sudden, the whole thing starts to move. We get into a mindset that this thing continues to add mass because it continues to go from to-do list to to-do list instead of the done list. And that's just not the case. That just isn't the truth of the matter. It builds that nonsensical mass in our brains because now it's stuck in the procrastination loop. And part of us thinks that it's going to take more energy than it does to get it out of that loop, that orbit around the to-do list, to break free, finally scratch that off the list, throw it on the pile of done, and move on to whatever is pressing next. Static, it always reminds me of Newton. I can't remember which law it is, but objects in motion tend to stay in motion. Objects at rest? Exactly. Need some motion to get them going again. No, that's not what Newton said, but you know where I'm going with this. You need to put a little oomph behind it. We do. And that's honestly 9 times out of 10, that's all you need. It does not require an enormous amount of effort to get your static body into a kinetic state of motion. And I continue to find myself in examples of this in my own life. It's so frustrating. And also, on the other side of the coin, it's a huge relief that once I start the thing, how quickly it gets done. And if I may be so bold, it gets done well. It's not that I'm just trying to hurry and finish it to get it off the list. Whenever I actually start doing the thing, there is an immense amount of satisfaction that goes into completing said task because it's the great white whale of your to-do list. Now, I'm making a pretty big assumption that we all have a to-do list. I know I do. I have colored Post-its or these little colored note cards that I got at the dollar store, and every day I got to redo it because I've marked off so many things and a few things carry over. And that little piece of paper is so manky. Jeez Louise, I just beat it to death in my pocket. And I've scribbled and I've scratched and it's ripped and this, that, and the other. Or I've pushed it in and out of a pocket so much, it started to become less paper and more like a cloth. Yeah, exactly. It's moved that much in 24 hours. I know. I'm not proud of it, but I kind of am at the same time. And it really just comes down to being able to look at it, understand that it is not some Everest in your way. All it is a molehill that you keep pushing farther and farther back. So it feels as though it's a trek, and it just isn't. It's sitting there and it's weighing down. That's another thing, too. It's more like a burden than it is anything else. And it's not like it's heavy. What it is cumbersome. Have you ever gotten something from Amazon or whatever, and it comes, it honestly, it is just overkill extreme because you order something and it gets shipped to you, and for whatever reason, the thing is about as big as your fist, but the packaging in the box is about the size of a Frigidaire, right? And it comes to your door and you have to bring it inside, and you're like, what the ever loving? And you pick it up. Thing does not weigh anything at all. What it is just gigantic and honking, and trying to navigate it through the door frame and to get it inside the house without stepping on a Lego or taking off a pinky toe on a table leg, and looking around it to make sure that you don't trip or run into something fragile or pointy or someone else in the house. That can be a little difficult, not because the item is heavy, but because it is just cumbersome. It is so large, it feels like it should be too difficult to carry, but it isn't. And why? Because we just got underneath the sucker and lifted. But now, because for whatever reason, it has grown to such an enormous size in our perspective, it can be unwieldy, inconvenient. So, what do we do with it? We look that sucker in and we cut her open and we get out whatever's in the middle and we do business with it. Whatever that is, whatever this item was that you ordered from wherever that has now arrived. Now, what you do is you break down the box because it's done its job. It was the vehicle, it was the capsule to the whole thing that sat on your to do list for however many exchanges from one day to another. And you finally got the thing done. And now, instead of it being something that weighs down your pocket with this imaginary girth and depth and awful that you literally made up yourself, we made up ourselves, you get it done. And you cut away the extra. And now you've got left is the thing in the middle, which is all you ever wanted in the first place. Perfect. Break down the box, fold it up, take it to the dumpster, put it on the side of the road. Whatever it is we got to do, we got to get rid of that. It doesn't behoove us. It doesn't serve. And so it did protect whatever it is that we were doing from us, honestly. Now what we can do is move forward with whatever, because that is done. That is finished. That is over and behind us. Rear view mirror, and thank goodness it's finally done. What other things do we have in our life like that? Static. Well, I meant to do it. I've been meaning to get around to that. Or here we go, country folk that I know and love. I was fixing to, and then something else happened. Yes. Oh boy, that's a story I could tell over and over again. If I had a nickel, Lord, I could get me a flight somewhere for no money out of pocket, because it would have just been them stack of nickels for me fixing to. Well, I'm still studying on it, or I don't think I'm quite ready yet. I'm looking forward to, but I don't feel quite ready yet. Let me tell you something. Just had my TED Talk, if that gives you any kind of timeline as to when I'm recording this. I'll be honest, I was not thrilled with my performance. I watched the tape, I got myself a bootleg, and I recorded it on my own phone. And I just was not pleased with it. I wasn't happy with what I was wearing. I wasn't happy with the way that I did my little cha-cha on stage. I wasn't happy that I skipped around in a script that I studied for quite a while, clearly not as much as I should have. I had people in the audience. I had 6 friends in Nijmegen, Netherlands, in my TED Talk to watch me succeed, and I could not tell you how excited I was about all of that. And it's one of those things now that it's done, I feel as though it needs a little space and grace because I'm not thrilled with the way that it all turned out. People who were there gave me very honest feedback. Some were very complimentary, some were extremely honest. I appreciate them both tremendously. My favorite of the night, my friend tells me, "You were way, 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 way above average." Thank you. Brilliant. That is honesty and kindness and directness. It is such a beautiful amalgamation of all the things that I need out of an honest evaluation from someone I care about and admire very much. It was wonderful. And then you got your hype men, the people who blow you up, even though maybe you're not feeling great about it. You need that too, because you need to be just a little easier on yourself. And then you got folks that just don't know what to say because they don't know to hype you. They don't know you quite well enough. They came out of the kindness of their hearts. They're just like, it was so fun. Perfect. Thank you. You realize that I'm feeling very insecure about the whole thing right now, and you saw it in real time, and you are delivering the goods. I am relaying this story to tell us all that perfect should not be the thing that puts the brakes on your dreams. If you're waiting for perfect, in my estimation, from all of my life experiences, and there are many, not a flex, just an observation. Waiting for perfect is going to make your destination get farther and farther away if you ever get there at all. There are so many things here now, so many tropey, memey things that I could say right now, and I'm gonna. So if you've already seen them in your news feeds or your scrolls or whatever, bear with me. Done is better than perfect. Your expectations of your performance are probably head and shoulders, if not more, above everyone else in the room. Do the thing. Don't let the opinions of others slow you down. Why take criticism from someone whose life you would not care to copy? Some of these are absolutely going to be a little bit of a paraphrase situation, but I'm okay. The reason I'm telling you this is because I took the leap. I asked the question. I did the bold thing. I looked online. I homeworked until I found the person I needed to talk to get this opportunity. I prepared. I studied. I repeated. I got to the day of, and I had a honest to goodness, I think I was close to 50% audience was my friend group that came to see me do this. And still, I don't feel as though I performed to my full capacity for whatever reason. I'm not blaming anything on this. It just came together in a way that I had not anticipated. I was nervous as hell. I was so shaky, and usually I can send that in a different direction. I can turn that nervous energy into charm or charisma or nervous laughter that for whatever reason others like to join. Thank God. And this just turned into something that felt so important and so large and so heavy when all it was a room full of my friends who came to see me succeed. And so many things that we give so much size and weight to in our lives are exactly that. My actors out there, anyone who's ever done a performance or who's ever gone to a job interview or an audition, same thing. They call it by a different name. Honest to God, it's the exact same thing. You walk in the room and that person behind the table, I honestly believe, hopes for your success. Why? Because if you get it right, I mean, even close to right, you have just saved them a lot more pain, trouble, and difficulty. Super. Check. Got it. I honestly think there are fewer people out there that want to see us fail than there are people out there who would love to see us fly. Is that overly optimistic? I don't care. The realism of that specific situation matters not to me. Just so we are so unbelievably crystal clear on that. Here's another meme fun for you. The opinions of others are about me are none of my business. None of it. So, what people think of me when I finish this thing that was supposed to be whatever in my life, as long as I can walk away happy from it, that's all I need. And I think I let myself get caught up in the perfection and the perceived importance of this milestone event in my life instead of just going and trusting the fact that I have done this so many times. And I was speaking on something I knew so much about. I was so confident in the topic. It's about creativity. It's about finding joy in the things that you do and not letting that fall by the wayside when we get stuck in things like jobs and how it all pertains and feeds into or resonates with artificial intelligence. Great. Perfect. And looking at things today in the light of it as a, ooh, wish I hadn't said that. Ooh, my extemporaneous got a little over off into a no man's land. Or, geez, that pause felt a lot shorter on stage. I was trying to slow everything down because, number one, my entire audience was Dutch, first language Dutch. So I wanted to slow it down about 10 to 20% to make sure that any colorful vocabulary came out very clearly, that I enunciated very clearly, which when I watched the video made me think, oh my God, pick up the pace. Whenever what I need to do in situations like that is give it less weight. Yes, it is important. It is absolutely important. Yes, I prepared. I came to the rehearsals. I have communicated clearly with coordinator and colleague, and now it's time to do the thing. And I got up on the stage on that fuzzy red carpet with that black sign behind my head, and I just wish I had done differently. Perfect is going to get you in a world of hurt for a lot of these things because if you don't jump, you may never get off the carpet. I read another thing that said I read a lot of things about trying to adjust my mindset to make sure that I think like a person with immense financial wealth. Okay. I am a very, very wealthy man in life experience and connection and friends. And I think talent, pardon me if that hits you the wrong way, but wow, there are days I wake up, I'm like, geez, Louise, I'm just so happy that I was born with the skills and the gifts that I have. Thank you, Mama and Dee Dee and everybody that had a part in nurturing and cultivating that in me. I'm so unbelievably grateful because the life that I have led has been so full in every direction, deep, wide, long, all of the things. And though I think each one of us has a different set of skills, there are things I think all of us know in our heart of hearts, even though others may have tried to sort of hide our lights under a bushel or taught us some kind of tall poppy bullshit nonsense. There are things we do that we know we do well. And sometimes we just have to sort of live in that so that whenever things that we are not perhaps as comfortable doing cross our paths, we can find a way to integrate that confidence in the thing that we do well into this new uncomfortable thing. Because new and uncomfortable is exactly where we need to stay if we want to flex and grow and expand and continue to get, again, bigger, better, stronger, kinder. You hear me talk about it all the time, and that's what I want for all of us. Why? A, it feels great. You want to talk about top of the world? You want to talk about swagger to beat the band? That's exactly what it is. If you know you can go in there and crush it, it ain't bragging if you can back it up, mama. So do it. Back it that up. Do the thing and own it. This continues to play into the idea of static and kinetic. Kinetic, keep it moving. Just like we were talking about earlier, a body in motion tends to stay in motion. And with more of these things that you continue to add into your trick bag of awesome, you will collect weight, real weight and heft in what you have to offer. And that will provide greater momentum. So it will be more difficult to bring you to a static position. Why? Because you are shucking and jiving, Daddy. You are doing the thing. And I think that the more we find ourselves in a position or a place of motion and growth and just keep it moving, it's really easy to take on other things that will continue to build that momentum. Granted, along the same lines in the discussion of physics in this metaphor situation, if you get too much weight at one time, it can start to drag. So what do? We continue to assess. We check back in with ourselves, just making sure, okay, I got a lot on the plate. It feels really good right now. I'm getting a lot done because I know I must, because the deadline is looming and I am feeling 92% prepared, which leaves me 8% totally unprepared. And I'm just going to either get that other 8 or I'm going to rely on all these other gifts to make sure that I have a bridge. But I'm going to cross by hook or crook, hell or high water, we gonna get over it. Yes. Yes, we are. Because I tell you, failure, oh man, I want to get this right. I mentioned earlier I was going to paraphrase quite a bit because I saw this and I love it. Whenever I study increasing financial wealth, let's go back to that. And here we are. God, we've taken such a big leap. Huzzah. It's talking about how the magnificently wealthy people who have like the generational wealth, they know that failure is nothing but a learning opportunity. In so many cases, failure is not the end of your life. Sure, it can be embarrassing. So what? Embarrassed why? Because people you know saw you do something that wasn't 100% on your first or second or 17th or 422nd try. But every time you do it, you get better and closer. Who cares? Who gives a single hoot what those people think about you while you are growing and doing your thing? Nobody. And if they do, their care is misplaced. They ain't no hoot supposed to be given about folks like that. If they're so concerned with it, ask them how you can do it better. If they've got constructive criticism for it so that I can do better and I can make a better go of it next time, whoo, check these ears under these cans. I am all about it. Let me in on it. If all you've got is a jeering word or a snicker, chortle, or scoff, you can just hold on to it because I sure don't need it. And you can throw that in the clearance rack for all I care. That is not something we'll be taking to the Bullard house. Nay, I don't need it. Because 9 times out of 10, somebody who's going to pull that is somebody who's just a little bit envious that you had the balls to do it in the first place, or the lady balls, or the everybody else balls to do it. However you want to look at it. Yes, absolutely. And you know what? I'd rather be in that group. Put me in the group that got busted up because they took the jump. Watch me fly, mother plucker. Yes. I love this topic. I love that we came together on this idea between the static and the kinetic. I do the Connecticut. Nay, static and kinetic. I think it's a great thing to think about. I think it's a wonderful thing to ponder whenever you're looking at something that you just feel is insurmountable. If it looks like something that's just way too big to sort, I would like to encourage you to look again. Make a list, write it down. Put your insecurities as to why it is you think you can't handle something like that down. Write it down. Once you look at it on paper, I think you'd be amazed to see how much more handleable that situation is, how much more easily that mountain is to climb. All you got to do is look at it right and get moving. I love the time we get to spend together. My goodness, I do. I tell you what, this time just flies by for me whenever we're in the right spot. If this is your first episode of Radical Joy, welcome. We are thrilled you're here. Thank you for being with us. If you're the kind of person who likes to leave a review, please do so. On whichever platform where you're listening, leave us a 5-star review. Take a screenshot, send that to us so we can reward you for your loyalty and kindness with some swag. This is season 3, and we've got a whole new look, and we would love to send you some brand new merch from Radical Joy Podcast. More than likely, it's going to be a sticker, so you can put that on a water bottle or a journal or a laptop, wherever you feel like sticking a sticker, and letting people know where you're spending your time whenever you're podcast listening. If this is not your first episode, welcome back. Thank you for being a listener. Thank you for being part of our family. Please never forget just exactly how much we love y'all.